All right, we are live. Welcome back to Stock Tricks with Nick, the Friday trading recap. If you guys are new to the channel, we do these recaps every Friday, and then we also do a midweek movers section on Tuesday, covering all the stocks that I'm currently holding and what's on my watch list for the rest of the week. In this Friday segment, we'll go over the same kind of stocks that I've traded, watch list for next week, but we'll also add in more either technical trading points, some different trading styles, risk management skills, more so than just here's the stocks you have to buy now. The videos on Friday are going to help round out your trading strategies. So really quickly, let's go through the agenda. We'll be going over, this was election week, so we saw drastic moves in the stock market. Everything was shooting up, so we'll cover that really quick. How I'm using progressive exposure to get back into the market. So if you were following me earlier, you know that I was very cautious getting into the market before the election because a lot of volatility, didn't know how it was going to turn out. So wanted to keep my cash on the sidelines for the most part and get ready to buy those breakouts. After that, we'll go through some trades that I made this week. How to identify the exact right buy point with using pivots. Some stocks requested from the audience. I got some from StockTwits and Twitter, and you guys can use the chat in this. If you're in the live chat, use the chat function to drop any stocks that you want me to cover during that point. If you're watching this after the live stream has ended, go ahead and use the comments there. Drop the stock that you want me to cover, and I'll write up what I'm seeing. After that, we'll run through the watch list and close it out. So a couple things that I always forget to mention, so I wrote it on here, is if you're watching this after the live stream, I do post the timestamps for all the stocks that we cover during the video in the comment section below. So if you are coming from StockTwits or Twitter and you just want to see a specific setup for one or two stocks, you can always use the timestamps in the comment section. Although I do think there's a lot of value in watching through all the charts because you do kind of train your eye to see, okay, what are we looking for in a breakout setup in other trading strategies there. Also, please leave a like if you find any value from this video. Helps me out tremendously, helps the channel grow. If you're interested in following along, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, Stock Tricks with Nick. Live streams Tuesday and Friday. Also, follow me on StockTwits. That's Stock Tricks with Nick there. And then on Twitter, it's Stock Trick Nick. All right, with that said, let's just jump right into it. And we'll check out the major indexes right now. So first, we have S&P 500. You can see, let's see, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. So Monday here, we made higher highs, higher lows leading into the election on Tuesday. And typically, the 2 days leading into the election are usually bullish regardless of the outcome of the election. So the past couple months, you've seen some pricing in for a Biden win. And then the 2 days really didn't make a difference there. And then we saw, well, results are not official yet. So at this point, Biden's leading. But a lot of the people in the market are thinking this is the best results that could happen for the stock market. Because with Biden as president, you're probably getting a larger stimulus package. But it wasn't the blue wave that was predicted. So there's likely going to be gridlock in any legislation trying to pass new taxes. So with taxes staying the way they are and a larger stimulus, this could be exactly what the market's looking for to really take off. And you saw that Wednesday, Thursday. Today was kind of the sideways action, but after the move we got here lately, looks like, what was it, 6.5% move in 1 week after we did pull down the week before. But we were cautious all through this leading into the election. We were risk off, had a lot of money on the sidelines, and now the market's giving you signals. A lot of breakouts are holding. So it's time to get back into the market with some progressive exposure. So S&P 500, overall the moving averages just under that peak on October 12th there. We'll see how that goes into next week. I should change over so you guys can see all the descriptions. So really quick, let me run through what we got on the chart so new viewers are understanding what I'm saying here. So for moving averages wise, we have the 8-day exponential moving average. I really like to use that for short-term trading, really narrowing down the pivot point that I look to buy at. We have the 20-day simple moving average, green line, 50-day simple moving average, red line, 200-day simple moving average, the yellow line. So we have all durations of traders, so we can kind of see where everyone's coming in for support, resistance, stuff like that. We have the Bollinger Bands, which are just 2 standard deviations above and below the 20-day simple moving average. Provides basically a volatility channel for the stock to be trading in. Down here we have volume, daily volume, the 50-day simple moving average or 50-day volume average, and let me jump back to the S&P 500 so you can see price relativity compared to the NASDAQ QQQ, since that's been the leading index lately. I like to put price relativity to see what stocks are pulling back but actually holding the best relative support when the market's shaky. And something new that I added this week was the volume profile on the side here, so you can actually see where the volume has come in at a price level, not just on a single day. So sometimes you see stocks pull back to a volume platform, and that'll usually hold support as well, along with some moving averages in previous highs or lows, whatever. So starting to use this week. We'll see if I keep it on my chart, but so far, so good. QQQs jumped even more, not so much on Monday and Tuesday, which is why I was a little bit more conservative getting back into the market before the election, because even though S&P 500, Dow Jones was moving up, the NASDAQ, which has been the leader, was a little bit cautious going into it. So going into the election. So still did not want to go all in, not heavy position size, not too many positions going into the election. So I did get left behind a little bit this week, but if you've watched these live streams before, you know I'm very risk first, risk oriented. So there was absolutely downside risk with the election. We didn't see that. It took off. My 401k, my HSA, those long-term investing strategies, those are going to take this move up. So it's not like I'm completely missing out, but don't let a couple days of breaking out get you into that fear of missing out to put too many position sizes on. But this is right up, similar to where S&P 500 was, just below the highs from the previous peak here in October 12th, 13th. Then Dow Jones Industrial Average, DIA. You saw really take off Monday, Tuesday, after it touched off the 200-day simple moving average, and has not gotten as far up as the other two, but has cleared the 20-day and the 50-day simple moving average. So you also, looking into next week, you have both of those as support, and you also have this volume shelf as support as well. So those are the 3 indexes. Let me jump back to the agenda here. So progressive exposure. Let's jump back. So what I mean by progressive exposure, and if you follow Mark Minervini on Twitter, he's been doing a great job explaining how he started adding positions back in late September as the market started to bottom here. All it means is basically dipping your toe in the water. When the market's showing weakness, you don't want to be all in as a swing trader. You want to only put a heavy amount of capital to work when everything's going your way, because there's no absolutes in trading. I say this all the time, no absolutes in trading. So you're just trying to add as much probability to your side before you lay the chips down. It's like playing poker. You're not going to go all in if you don't have a good hand. And leading into the election, market was shaky. A lot of solid setups were breaking to the wrong side. We saw earnings from Amazon, Apple, beat earning expectation, and they still sold off. So all the warning flags were out there. So it wasn't, and with the election, just large implied volatility there. Wasn't a time to hit the gas. After the election, we're starting to move up. We're seeing a lot of breakouts hold for more than one day. There have been a couple breakouts today that moved higher and then squatted. So basically has a large upper wick on the daily candle, but not a lot moving negative outside of earnings that didn't go as planned. So now that we're back over the 50, back over the 20-day simple moving average and the 8-day exponential moving average, a lot of breakouts are holding. A lot of quality setups are breaking out. Now we're back into a time where we can start putting our money to work at a lower risk. Just because the market's been holding up the last week doesn't mean we need to go all in right now. If this isn't just a head fake, then we're going to have plenty of time in this new bull market to always take the strongest stocks and lead that into really, really high returns. If it is a head fake, then you'll be glad that we didn't put on too much exposure, because this might pivot and fall down next week. No one knows. But if it does, then you're doing so with less exposure. So like mentally and emotionally, it's tough to see the market move as drastically as it did without me, but you always have to play the other side. Everything's easier, hindsight 2020. But what if the market sold off and you had heavy exposure in? That would be much worse, because it takes longer to, if you lose 10%, you need to gain 11% just to get back even. You lose 25%, got to gain 33% to break back even. So avoiding those losses is always more important than actually having those wins. So with progressive exposure, we're just starting to put on some new positions. All the position sizes that I've taken have been 5% of my portfolio. Typically, a new position that I put on is 10% of however much I have in my account. 1/10 of that. 10% of that will be my new position size if I'm putting on a new trade. But right now, I'm doing more positions and at a smaller rate. So right now I have, I think, 7 or 8 positions on right now, but they're all at 5%. And overall, my net long position is around 40% of my portfolio. So still not completely hitting the gas, not using leverage right now. If the market continues higher, then we'll start to press on that gas. But if this is a new bull market, we'll have plenty of time, no reason to get ahead of ourselves. If you guys have any questions along the way, leave them in the comment section and I'll get to all of them. All right, so that was progressive exposure. Let's go to some stock trades I did this week. So first we had AMTX, got back into this guy. Let's throw on my trade history. So we talked about this before. Really nice setup. I'm always trying to trade stocks that are in a strong uptrend, but pulling back on lower volume. That's exactly what happened earlier October. Pulled back down here, got in at like 355 average, just shot up, sold. You can see all of my sells were into strength, and then a couple shares left over, getting stopped out over here. But I did not take this off my watch list because it had reacted so strong, and then it started pulling back on less volume here. Let me move this. There we go. I'll hide that for now. So you can see we broke out on these heavy volume bars, and even through this pullback, everything was getting lighter. So the people taking profits were probably day traders, swing traders right there. And then it popped up here, didn't buy this first pop-up, but this gets into a pivot buy that that we'll talk about throughout the live stream today. But basically, pulled back. Let's see what that was. Pulled back from high to low was 36%. So I avoided a lot of that by selling into strength and then getting stopped out for the most part under this low, and then I took my last tiny bit at these lows. Then bounced back up, did so on volume. So volume increased on the bounce back. That's something I wanted to see. And then just kind of traded sideways here for a while. And then this was going into the election. I wasn't looking to put on too many new positions. But then what I was doing was see how we had these two highs at 403, 405. Basically a double top there. And after a stock that has broke out, pulls back, and makes a move higher, after it makes the move higher and then pulls back again, those highs are now creating that pivot buy area. So I drew a line right through there and put a stop buy order in to say if it broke over 405, then buy the stock. Did so with 5%, and then you could see bought in at 406, so got filled on the next cent. Sold some into strength at 430, and then today, unfortunately, I forgot to take off my stop loss the first 30 minutes. That's something I like to do on these thinly traded stocks, so you don't get stopped out in the first 30 minutes. Unfortunately, I did get stopped out, but I noticed it right away, so put the position back on. Got stopped out at 401. Got stopped out at 401, put it back on at 403, and then took some back off when it went to 433. So still holding about 75% of this position, and it was done by keeping an eye on a stock that I have some profits already booked from. One of my better trades this year so far, but pulled back down, made that pivot high, pulled back again, and then through those highs are my buy point. So bought on that. Another thing I liked with the move was higher volume on that breakout. And then today, as it moved sideways a little bit lower, lighter volume. So not as much going on today. Now, this does have earnings. It says unconfirmed 11/12. I'll look into that a little bit later. I only hold into earnings if I have a 10% profit or more going into earnings. If not, I'll just cut the trade because earnings is typically a binary event, and that doesn't create an edge for me. So that's just gambling. Not here to gamble. Here to put as much odds in my favor and then play the trade. So that was AMTX. We got BHVN. This was a really, really great setup. You can see here, again, we're over the 200-day. I'm only taking trades if the 200-day simple moving average is now starting in an uptrend. We're over the 50, over the 20. And you can see stock moved 160% from the lows in April, so that's good. Pulled back, made this giant cup and handle right there. So cup, have your handle day. So through here, let me throw that on. What did I get filled at? I think it was 80. Yeah, 79.97. So I used, the high right here because after it made its high, pulled back, kind of made another high. I wasn't watching this trade until later, but used the high of $80 to get in. Got filled at 79.93, so basically right around 80. As it was breaking over those previous highs. So I'm always buying as the stock's pushing higher, showing strength. I'm never buying into a downtrend because I have no idea how long that downtrend's going to be. If I'm going to have my money in the market, it better be working right away. Otherwise, I'm going to take the trade off because when your money's in the market, it's at risk. And you only want it to be at risk when you have the edge. So, thankfully, it immediately worked out, pushed higher. You see these Bollinger Bands contracted there. The next day, we got great follow through, sold some into strength there, sold a little bit more today as it broke under the previous lows here. And then we're sitting with this. We have earnings coming up the 9th before the market. I do have, well, nope, now I'm back under 10% profit. So for the remaining shares, we'll see if this moves back higher, so I can hold into earnings. If not, I'll just cut the trade there. So that's BHVN. Really nice cup and handle over all those moving averages, and breaks out with an increase in volume there. You can't get a tighter range than this. This was beautiful. When I saw this, I knew I was going to be taking the trade as long as it pushed higher over those previous highs. BHVN, CALX. This one I got from Leif Serede's program. So we had talked about this before, but this one broke out with high volume, then pulled back to its 8-day exponential moving average. Volume got super quiet throughout there. So then I was just looking again at all the previous highs since it pulled back as my buy point. There. So this previous high was 24.66. I think I got filled a little bit later on 24.87. So not a perfect fill on that, but you can see I got in right a little bit after we broke over this high here from 11.3, so November 3rd. And after that point, you can see institutions bought in, because that's not volume from me and you. That's volume from a company. So institutions came in, bought the stock up, took some profits on the way up, and now put my stop loss at my entry point. So we're just holding it there. That's CALX. Snapchat, another one that we had talked about before. One of those gap and go stocks. So broke out on heavy volume on earnings. And then I took the trade initially after this one pullback day. That was a little bit aggressive for me, especially during a time I should have been sizing down. So dumb trade on my end. If you're new to the live stream, I always talk about my mistakes because they're helpful for me to relive and to be like, Nick, don't do that. That was dumb. And also for you guys, because if I'm only showing winning trades, winning setups, you're not gonna know how, like, if it felt for me to be like, that was dumb, take the trade off, limit your risk, that kind of stuff. So shouldn't have taken this trade, but bought in with this 5% size on this day when we broke over the previous high there, thinking we were just doing a check mark and going. Did not do that, so I sold some the next day, realizing that I was just kind of dumb. And then pulled right back down to its 8-day exponential moving average, never closed underneath that. You see volume dry up. And then today, on StockTwits pre-market, we were talking, if it breaks over these two highs here, that would be our buy point. So right when that happened during the day, I put on basically the size of what I took off earlier, and we had a clean run up all the way to the end of the day, up 9.2%. Relative strength is great through here, volume picking up after it's been quiet. And now this is at all-time highs. There's no volume shelf above it, so there's not going to be resistance in that direction. So really like this trade, quality setup there. So I see your comments. I'll get to those when we get to the stock requests. So Sleep Number, we were talking about this on StockTwits, and I think we talked about this last live stream as well. Zooming out, you can see the 200-day simple moving average is starting to move in an uptrend. We had a move from the lows up 300-ish%, 280%, and then really nice bull flag through here. So drawing it pretty quickly. I bought on this breakout, and then it just immediately squatted on me, held through this undercut of the previous low, and then we just started moving up from there. But the setup's similar. So it broke out, volume was increasing, and then as it pulled back or / moved sideways, volume just dried up. Everything got really quiet. But you can see that was during the market pulling back drastically. So the fact that this was holding its 8-day exponential moving average that well shows the relative strength compared to QQQ. So that was a great sign for me. And that's why when it just squatted a little bit and didn't close under the previous open and under the 8-day exponential moving average, I didn't sell at that point, wasn't too worried. Since then, I've sold some into strength and have my stop at my entry point. So this is minus stocks gapping down overnight, a risk-free trade. We have some profit booked, stop at the entry. Now we're letting that roll. And that's what I love to do. TCON, TCON. This is one that, it hurts seeing after hours. So this is one that was up big. Let's see, up 250% in a short amount of time, and then started doing some pullbacks. Volume got very quiet, and then let's see. Actually, no. It was kind of a long-term like bull flag, but more so just did a couple pullbacks through here. Let's see, was this? So we got some undercut of these lows, but not the absolute low from the highs. You'd love to see one of these days undercut like this low to get all the stop losses out. But really, really quality setup here. Again, I used a pivot buy point. So right here, the high was 510. So just drew my line right through there. Said if it broke over 510, get me in the trade. I think I got filled at like 510, 512, 513. I think it was an average of 512. Sold some into strength when I was up 10% or so on the trade. Today it squatted and actually went through my entry point. And after I'm up 10% on a trade, I'm not going to take the rest for a loss. So I did get stopped out of this today. Unfortunately at 508, terrible fill. But again, this is me trying to get in a stock, get it running, take some profit, put my stop at my entry, and just let it go free. Because I'm always trying to go risk first. Especially, I put this trade on when the markets were absolutely ripping. So if I'm going to do that, these stocks better be going immediately. Because if the market turns around at all, the stocks that have gone up very quickly are going to pull back just as quickly. So being risk conscious, I just took this at my entry for the rest. So booked a little bit of profit there. But let's see. Yeah, so that's TCON. I see it's up a bunch after hours. Another reason that I put my stop at my entry on this is earnings coming up on the 10th. And if this pulls back at all, I don't want to take the rest for a loss. I don't want to be holding a loss into earnings anyway. So it just made sense to take it off. But what I do like, if you are still holding this, what I really like is this move came on very low volume. It found support at the 8-day exponential moving average, basically on the dot. So some good support there. Watch that area. And then you can see that there's a good volume shelf right at that area too. So some possible support there. I don't always take 10% off the day I buy. I usually take profits when it goes through a multiple of my average gain on a winning trade. And that's why I love and really have found value from tracking all my trades through a couple of the videos that I've done. Once the month ends, I always go through, here are my trading stats. Here's my batting average or winning percentage. Here's my average amount won on a trade, average amount lost on a trade. So if you know your trading stats, you can kind of build a selling plan around that. So typically when a stock goes up 7%, that's a multiple, my first multiple of my average gain on a winning trade. So I'll book 10, 15-ish% profit. And then I like to move my stop up, or at least half my stop up, so I don't have it as a losing trade. So that's TCON. Great questions. Love the questions. Keep them coming. Go TER. This one was another super clean cup and handle here. So let's zoom out. Again, got the 200-day and an uptrend. Off the lows here, what was this up? 100% or so. Got your cup, got your quick handle. So my buy point was, let's see what I get in at, 94.01. Not the perfect fill. Is this 94? I didn't get the perfect fill here, but basically my buy point was, saw the highs here, corresponds basically within a couple cents of the highs here. So that was going to be my buy point. Slid a little bit on the fill, but that's fine because it moved right away. Right when it broke through that pivot point, it started moving higher. And it did so on increase, if I show it relative, on increased buying volume compared to the previous day, which was red day, but not much going on there. And then since then, we've just had some nice follow through. We're at, I don't know if it's, let's see, is it all-time highs? Yeah, it is. So no resistance up top on that stock. Really quality entry point using some of those previous highs. And again, I'm only putting 5% position size on right now. Still trying to get a feel of the market. Want to see if we're going to be in a strong uptrend or if this is just a quick head fake with the election. But so far, things look good. Relative strength on this has been a monster. So PER, solid trade. Have taken some profit. Stop at my entry. We're letting this run free. And Tesla, TSLA. A lot of flags in here, so I will just hide that for clarity for now. You can see we're right on a volume shelf. So what I did, and this was called out in Leif's trading program, but saw this contracting pattern, and I did, when I'm drawing this, I do know that like this undercut some of these lows, but with me not being long at this point, I really like that because it gets all of these stops that were placed under previous lows out of the trade. So I like to see that. And you can see, if I zoom out, really give you guys the picture. Obviously, volume huge as it breaks out. What did it go up? It was like 450%, really strong, obviously. But you can see volume during this coiling action is getting quieter, which is exactly what you want to see. You want to you basically want people to forget about the stock, and you won't forget about Tesla, obviously, but it's not as popular right now. There's other stocks that have already broken out. Volume's getting really quiet, relative strengths holding fine, or uptrends on the 200-day. So what I did was just I zoom in more. Took the high from this day, basically corresponded with the high from this red day. See, it's such a tight pattern that you can't really like see my line, which is exactly what you want. This has been coiling really nicely, but basically took the high from October 27th and the high from November 3rd as my buy point, or a little bit higher than that. Yeah, I think I got filled at 437. Let me throw the trade history back on so I'm not lying to you guys. Yeah, 437. And since then, it's squatted down, but looking at today's action, held the 20-day simple moving average really well. Volume so quiet. Actually, take that back. Volume today does not show after hours trading, so we'll see how that volume candle comes in, but sitting right on the volume shelf there, so good support. You got the 50, the 20, the 8-day exponential moving average, all below the current price, so a lot of support there. And if the market moves higher tomorrow or moves higher next week, this could quickly run back up to all-time highs, which would be a 17% move from the close today, and possibly higher. This is a really good base that was built. All right, that's Tesla, TSLA, and those are the trades that I put on this week that I wanted to talk about. So let me jump through the comments here, read what you guys want to see. Yes, SPG. So SPG does violate my first trading criteria, where it's not over the 200-day simple moving average. The 200 days in a downtrend, you see this massive sell-off here. Does this mean you can't make money with this stock? No. There's hundreds of ways to make money in the stock market. What I've found the most consistent is buying strong stocks, getting stronger after pulling back on low volume. That tends to do the best for me. When I first started off trading, I definitely traded these stocks that pulled back the most because I thought they would bounce back as high, but a lot of the times they just sit at those prices or even move lower. There's typically a reason why they haven't bounced and showed strength, because you can see the rest of the market is past its February's highs now, but this is still right at the bottom. See, they have earnings coming up too on the 9th, so not a stock that I would trade. It's below all of its moving averages at this point, closed lower than a couple of the lows here, so showing relative weakness lately as well. So SPG, not a stock that I would trade, and because there are 1,000 stocks out there, we can be really picky with our criteria. So we always want the strongest stocks getting ready to get stronger. Let's see. Let's jump to UPS. So here's the list that I got from StockTwits and Twitter to cover. So UPS, Target, SPG we just covered, NEO, Zoom, Microsoft, and TSM. We'll get through that and some of the ones that I see from the comment section here. So UPS, you did see recently pulled down, has rallied a little bit back. Let's see, what is it off the lows? Up 8% off the lows, but you can see price relativity going down here. So as the rest of the market's really taking off, this is just slowly moving back. Today's high touched the 20-day simple moving average, but not breaking over it. A lot of the rest of the market is over its 50, over its 20, over its 8. And it did just fill this gap here. So this might just be a kind of bounce to fill the gap. Again, we can be really picky with this market. Everything's taking off. So let's wait for the most quality setups here. This is showing relative strength or relative weakness, has the 20-day simple moving average to clear before we get there. But I do like that it's over this volume shelf right here. So on the downside, you'll probably find support at the low of the day from Friday, which would be 168.30, which coincides with the 8-day exponential moving average and the volume shelf built through this range and the bottom last week, early this week. So that's UPS. Target, TGT, such a strong stock. Saw this gapped up, pulled back, and then just check marked right through there. And similar action through here now. The downside with this move is it never really gave a pivot where it pulled back, moved higher, and then pulled back for a couple days, creating that local high that we could have used to push higher for a clean entry. I guess you could have used the 20-day today because that pushed right through that. But another thing that I'm not in love with is relative weakness early on and no real volume on this move higher. We're not seeing buyers rapidly come in, which we would like to see for a strong move higher. The bars on the right are new. I just put them on. They're the volume based on the price that you see to the right here. So we have volume, the daily volume down here, but also how much volume has accumulated at those prices, at each of the prices. another way to look at resistance and support. Let's see. Where in the world do I find these stocks? A lot of the stocks that I find are based off Twitter. So if you follow the best traders on Twitter, they'll likely show the stocks that are setting up that they're looking at. Like I mentioned, Leif Serede, Mark Minervini. If I'll put out another tweet later on for Follow Friday. I forgot to do that earlier today, but all those guys, great to follow. And then also in an earlier video last week, 2 weeks ago, we went through the FinViz scanner that I use. So check out my last video. No, what was it? I think it was last Friday where we did the FinViz scanner. But finviz.com, free scanner tool that you can look at the stocks for the highest price relativity, best volume, any filter that you want on that. Let's see what other stocks you want to see. Let's just run through. NEO, what a monster NEO's been. You can see, speaking of the right people to follow on Twitter, Mark Minervini, if you read his book, Think and Trade Like a Champion, he always talks about tennis ball action on the stocks that you want to be trading. So what he means by that is stocks break out, and then when they pull back, instead of being what he calls eggs, where when eggs pull back and hit the floor, they just splat, you want tennis ball action where it pulls back and then bounces higher. Pulls back, bounces higher, pulls back, bounces higher, pulls back, bounces way higher. So this is the tennis ball action that Mark Minervini always talks about. So great example here. NEO's been such a nice chart to trade because it basically is the setup that we cover each week where we break out on high volume, then we pull back to a meaningful moving average on lower volume. Things get quiet, then we can use like previous highs, local pivot points to buy. Then it breaks out, pulls back, breaks out, pulls back. At this point, it's getting pretty overextended. So from this pivot here to, I guess, the high point today, that's a 53% move in a week and a half, 2 weeks. And the closing above the upper Bollinger Band, when the Bollinger Bands are constricted, typically leads to a stronger move higher. But now that it's already expanded so much, if you haven't taken any profit yet, with my selling rules, I always take profit into strength. Definitely would be taking some profit here. And then because we've seen this breaks out and then always pulls back to some meaningful moving averages as volume dries up. And you can see with the volume profile here, the next place where there was a lot of volume to come in was the previous high here. So what is that? Around 30. I don't think it'll pull back that much, but I'm definitely not buying into this. I want to be buying strong stocks, but I want to be buying them after they break out over previous highs. So that's NIO, really strong, great pattern to, like, I always stress, if you missed a breakout stock, that's fine. Breakouts happen all the time, but go back and study the chart. What was happening with the volume? What was happening with price relativity? Were moving averages crossing over? Anything that you can think of to look back at those breakout charts, the more you're going to familiarize yourself with it so you can apply that to the next stock that's setting up. That's NEO. Let's go Zoom. Zoom is one that I'm going to be watching for next week as well. Hopefully it'll create that pivot point that we're talking, but really strong move lately. Let's see, 151% since August. Had earnings through here, pulled back, and then just check marked right through there. Now this has pulled back, bounced off the 50-day simple moving average, moved up, little volume increase there. I like that. Price relativity a little bit higher, a little bit increasing. Still needs to get over the 20-day. But what I'm looking for now, not so much the 20-day, but if this keeps moving up, I'm not going to take the trade all the way through. But what I would love is this to move up maybe over the 20-day, ideally. and then pull back down. So I have a local high as my pivot buy point. So say it moves down on Monday, then we're using Friday's high as our buy point. So that would be 505.88 right there. So if this moves down, maybe find support at the 50-day and then breaks through, that's going to give you a really nice price to get in at. And you're only buying as it's breaking through. So there's already, right as you're putting money in the market, it's in an uptrend. It's going higher. So again, just stacking odds in your favor of being in a profitable trade. So that's Zoom, ZM. What else do you guys want to see? Microsoft. Yeah, really interesting move with Microsoft. What I was drawing here, and which held up relatively well, diagonal from the previous highs through the local high here in October. Once you break over resistance, it becomes support. If you break under support, then it becomes resistance on the other end. So you can see today moved down, closed the gap, which I love to see. Gap closed, cut under the support, but got bought up really quickly, closed right at the highs. So now you could use basically the two highs from the day, or if you wanted to be extra careful, the high from October 13th, which is 225.21. See how that goes as a buy point. For me, because there's so many stocks setting up, I'm going to be a little bit more picky. I'm going to wait to see if it pulls back a little bit more, or just move sideways as the 8-day exponential moving average moves higher. But I love to see the buying volume come in, and it looks like we're right back into some strength here. We've also cleared this. Let me zoom out. We cleared the volume shelf here, which is important. Now, on the downside, this might hold some support because you have all these days where trading took place. That's Microsoft, MSFT, and TSM. After this, we'll go through just two stocks that have really nice pivot points that we can look back on. Again, we're studying charts so we can apply the patterns in the future. So TSM, strong move off the 50-day simple moving average here, just in a constant uptrend. A lot of the Chinese names did really well as Biden took a lead. Now we're right at the previous highs. Actually, it might have been, let me just check price there. Are we over it? 91.27, 91.50, so basically right there. I haven't bought in this yet, but are we going to get a cup and handle, or are we just going to get a takeoff right through there? That's the question I'm looking at. If we can open a little bit lower, then you can use the high point from Friday as your buy point. If we kind of pull back just a little bit, you have the 20-day simple moving average right there. Also have that 8-day, the purple line right there as well. Maybe provide some support and then a move higher. So looking at previous high points from Friday and what day is this? October 12th as the buy point there. If you're already in the stock, you have the 20-day, 8-day, and previous lows to put some stops under to get you out if the trade's working against you. That's TSM. If you guys are enjoying the stream, please leave a like. I hate asking for that stuff, but it really does help out the YouTube algorithm to push this to more traders. So leave a like. If you're watching this off the stream, comments help a ton as well. And then follow me on StockTwits and Twitter. It's Stock Tricks with Nick on StockTwits and StockTrickNick on Twitter. So let's jump to two that had really nice pivot points. So again, a pivot buy point is where stock's in a strong uptrend, it pulls down, but then makes a move higher. So you can see it's been pulling down through here, and then on the earnings day for Fiverr, this is FVRR, it pressed higher, and then now this high, and basically the next day's high point, right around the 20-day simple moving average, would have been your buy point, would have been your pivot buy. So that would have been 163.27. The next day is 162, so right around there. Is that also 162.60? So you see 3 daily highs right around that level. So if you use that as your pivot buy, you would have been buying on November 4th here. It did move higher, but then squatted, but never closed under the 8-day exponential moving average. So not really a reason to sell at this point. And then the next 2 days, we had strong follow through on huge volume. Again, this is not me and you volume. This is institutions buying, using basically the same strategy. They saw the earnings, but they wanted to get the best price possible. So they waited, got a little market uncertainty, and then bought with the break over that pivot point. So again, that's FVRR. FTCH gave another really nice one. So zooming out here, we're over the 200-day, strong uptrend through here, 355%. Now this one's in orbit now, so not a buy point right now. But you could just have used the high from this day right here as your buy point. It does correlate a little bit with the high from August 17th. I know there's a pivot here. It's not perfect, but using a previous day's high, if you bought on that point, you were never out of the money with this trade. So bought and then just kept going higher. Next day it opened higher. The low of the day never went under that pivot buy point. So you would have always been profitable in this trade. At this point, it went all the way up 41% in 4 trading days. So this is when you're buying at the pivot and you instantly put a stop loss in, you take some profit on the way up, move your stop to your entry point, then you're free riding the trade. You're not going to be risking any of your own capital on the trade. You're just risking profit at that point. So you're basically parlaying the win into a 40% move at this point. Now, we always talk about this, but a red candle close well outside of the upper Bollinger Band when they are extended typically leads to a pullback day, especially as you see volume increase on this day. When that happens, when it's already overextended, we're likely, not for sure, we're likely to see a pullback here. So there's a full gap in volume at 40, so likely to see 10 to 15% pullback coming. So that's FTCH. But again, not looking right now at the stock, but the pivot buy point gave you a clean entry. You could have used the rising 8-day exponential moving average as your stop, 5 to 8% stop loss, and then immediately it's working for you. You start moving your stop up, book some profit, free trade for the rest. See. Okay, let's get to, let me jump back to the watch list. Yeah, so watch list, we got Apple, Apps, Best Buy, no, Bed Bath & Beyond, sorry, EXAS, OCFT, I don't even know the names, RH, and SRRK. So let's jump through these. All right, so we got Apple. 3 pullbacks here from the high to low. So this is a VCP, volatility contraction pattern. Down 25% from the highs there, down 14% from the highs there. Now, if this pulls back at all, then you have a really nice pivot point. I'm still looking at Thursday's high of 119.62. I'll probably use 120 as my buy point. But you see the 8-day right here, the 20-day, and the 50-day. The 20 and the 50 held as support at the low of the day today, sitting on that volume shelf, and has that really nice volatility contraction pattern going. So if the market's strong, this is one that I'll be looking for come Monday with a break over Thursday's high. A move back to previous highs would be a 15% move higher. So really like that, especially if it could get over this area. You see the large volume shelf here. Then there's just less resistance all the way up to the previous highs. So that's Apple, AAPL. Apps, APPS. This one's going to need a couple days to pull back, but just throw this on your radar. Really strong move, up 550%. So we're trading winning stocks that are showing strength, but we need them to pull back a little bit. So from the lows here, has this really nice lower wick undercutting the previous lows from all of these days, and even getting down here. So this knocks out all of the stop losses that are set, basically. Cleans out and gets new traders in there. So less people that have taken this for a loss all the way through here and are angry at the stock, and then just moved much higher. So 51% in 5 trading days. Really, really strong. We're not buying it at this point. Let's see if this pulls back to, you have the 8-day, you have the 20-day, you have this volume shelf formed right at the $35 area. Now we're not just buying as it's pulling down to 35. We're letting that pull back, and then we'll use a previous day's high as a pivot point. We'll be buying on the way up when it's showing strength. But price relativity, this is off the charts, super strong, has been strong this entire rally. Definitely want to keep an eye on, but it's going to need a little bit of time to put a setup where risk rewards in our favor. Let's go Bed Bath and Beyond. Strong move here lately. One thing I don't love about the setup is that the 200-day simple moving average is just starting to get in an uptrend, so not as strong. But we had a 100% move in short matter through here, gapped down. Looks like it's found some support through there, undercut this previous low. That guy right there, that's not a perfect line, but you get what I'm saying. Undercut that low. And again, this is not one that we'd buy right now, but we can now use this guy's high of 22.36 as our buy point. So if we break over 22.36, we also, last point that had any volume, because we gapped down through here and we gapped up, so you see very little volume through there. And when there's very little volume, when big buyers come in, it slides very quickly higher. So looking to take this, if it breaks over the high from October 29th, should see a gap fill, and then again, that would be an 18% move to the highs. We definitely take some profit there on the way up. Move our stop to our entry, free roll the rest of the trade. Let's see if we can make new highs through there. Definitely would want to see buying volume come in, so it's not just retail trading right now. That's what this rally has been. So again, one to be cautious with, but we're buying on the way up as it's breaking out. Ideally, we get big volume coming through there. Bed Bath and Beyond. This is probably my favorite one going into next week is EXAS. We've talked about this on Stock Twits already, but last couple weeks, this moved up 92%, so not perfect 100% that we like to see, but up 92%. You see it pulled back, very, very quiet volume after this giant move up, right to the 8-day exponential moving average. Never closed under that, so I'll be using this pivot buy point with these two highs. So this high is 128.90, this one's 128.46, so I'll take the higher of the two, 128.90. So if we start moving over 129, a move back to all-time highs, or I guess previous highs, would be an 11% move. And this is showing that tennis ball action that we like. Volume breaking out on heavy volume, pulling back on low volume, breaking out heavy volume, pulling back on low. Price relativity is in an uptrend there. The only thing that I don't love about it is if you zoom all the way back. Oh no, this is right at all-time highs now too. So not much I don't like about this. So that's my plan for Monday. If the rest of the market's up Monday, I'll start to get more aggressive. Maybe I put an 8% position size instead of 5%. Just, again, progressive exposure, not going all in. I will miss a little bit of the start of this run. But if things starts pulling back, then I'm less exposed to it. There's still a lot of volatility in the market right now. So once we're in a very smooth uptrend, that's when we start pressing the gas. But EXAS, really quality setup, something I'm looking towards on Monday. OCFT, getting into a very, very tight trading channel after a, 200% move all the way to the peak here. Pull back. This almost violates my downside from the top. So typically the stock from its absolute peak, or most recent absolute peak, to its low is over 40%. I'll scratch the trade. I'll be selective on that. This is right at 38%. So on that level, maybe I don't take this with pure or like full position size, but a little smaller. But this is creating a really nice buy pivot using these highs. So this guy's high is 23.69. This one's a little bit lower, 23.58. So ideally, this moves down one more day, and then maybe we can even use these highs as our buy point, just to get even closer to an entry where we could put our stop under previous day's lows, under the 8-day, and it's still not too much risk. So I would love for this to come in on Monday, really tighten up, give us a lower pivot buy. But if it just blows right through this, then my buy point would be at the 23.60 area. But has that nice volatility contraction pattern, things getting very tight through here. And the last couple of days, you can see volume moving up as it pressed higher. So this is OCFT. Two more I got, and then I see we have some in the comments that we'll get to. RH, zoom out, see the whole picture. This is a strong uptrend. Again, everything that I'm trading are strong stocks that have pulled back and then are setting up to move stronger. So up 430%, gapped up on earnings. That filled the gap? Not quite, but has been wiggling around here and now creating a good pivot point. You could use a downward diagonal here, or even just use some of the previous highs there. Let me get rid of the diagonal. Nope, wrong one. So I would be looking at the high on October 23rd. So that is 395.80. And then the current highs, 394, 394 high. So use that as my pivot point to buy. Ideally, we get another day of sideways movement, so some of these moving averages can catch up, provide support, but we do have a volume shelf right below the price. So even if we buy at that breakout point and it pulls back to the bottom of the volume shelf, that's 7%. Might find some support there, and that's right where the 20-day and the 8-day exponential moving average is. Today's sideways movement happened on very, very light volume after a strong move on increased buying volume. That's also another thing to look at. So this is RH, something to watch for next week. And this one I'm not 100% sold on, but put it on my watch list. I see earnings are unconfirmed. They say they were today. I did not find anything on it, but let me know in the comments if I'm wrong about that. But moved up really rapidly here, up 223%. And then from the high point to the first low, only an 18% pullback. We did get another pullback here, 13%. So staying within 20% of the high point. Volume's getting extremely light through here. So what I'll be a little bit picky. I'll wait for a new high to buy this, especially because I'm not 100% sure on the earnings, but up 220% and then had some wiggle room. Volume's gone super quiet lately, so this is a stock that people are forgetting about now. So maybe this takes off, and looking at a buy over the previous highs there. This one I'll probably take on lighter exposure because you're not going to get a nice 5% stop on it because it's been up 220%. Even though this looks like it's a tight range, still 20% range that it's wiggling in. So you're not going to get a very tight stop loss in there unless this moves sideways for a little bit longer before moving higher. So that's SRRK. All right, let me jump through here. Again, if you enjoy this, please leave a like, leave some comments on the stocks that you're trading that I should be adding to my watch list because I'll go through all the comments and check them out. Let's see. DQ. All right, let's check this guy. Ooh, nice. Thank you for recommending this one. All right, up 334% at one point. Really strong movement. Said this is Chinese name too. Yep, Chinese solar. Okay. Kind of the best of both worlds. Solar's on fire, and Chinese stocks have been on fire too. So lots of strength through there. We'll see. Yeah, ideally we get another pullback. Get this range a little bit tighter, but see what I was looking for here. This creates the perfect pivot because you had this pullback, moved higher, and then pulled back again, so you could use this previous high. Let's see, what was that at? 202.46 as your entry point, and then right as it went through that, there was never any pullback. So you're already profitable. It moved higher, went up to 18%. Taking some profit there. Your stops at your entry. Bada bing, bada boom. You're solid. That's a winning trade. Now, because I'm a little bit behind, I got to wait for this to set up again. So if this blows through its previous high point, that could be a buy. But ideally, you see this come back, see the moving averages catch up, provide some support. And something I'm a little bit cautious about with this one is the volume. All the highest volume has been on selling days. This one is, no, take that back. This one is probably because of the lower wick here. It got bought up. But still, a lot of high selling volume days, not as much on the buying side. So again, we're being extremely picky because there's thousands of stocks out there, but this is something that you got to look for. But I like the setup. It's obviously showing strength in a good class. So I'll add this to my watch list. Thanks for bringing this up, and we'll see how that trades. Finally, CRDF, we'll end it on this guy. I traded this one through this pivot right here before. It did squat, never went under the 8-day. Sold some because I was taking some position size off overall, and then it just ripped 30%. Since then, it pulled back. What is it off the high point here? Down 33%, so it doesn't violate that 40% rule that I like to keep. Found support right at that volume shelf, right at the previous pivot point here to the breakout, so that makes sense. And then did create another pivot point right here. You see, pulled back, made new highs, pulled back again. So then that previous high is your buy point. Would have went right through there and maybe touched back at your entry point, but not enough. Did it move up too much? So 9.1%, maybe you get stopped out because you have your stop at your entry point. But again, then you can use this point. This has been a tricky one to trade if you're really diligent about your stop losses because it's been breaking out past 7%, probably 10% or so, and then pulling back right to that breakout point. So if you're putting risk on and then immediately limiting your risk, probably getting stopped out of this a lot. But let's see what relative volume's like. A lot of volume trapped right there. Pull back down here. now we're back at broke over previous highs. That's a good sign. I mean, so if you're in the stock right now, you're watching the rising 8-day exponential moving average. Let's see what that would be. See, still a 9% move back down to that. So hopefully you're booking some profits on the way up, and then you can move your stop up. But with this, I'd be a little bit cautious to do that because it does look like it likes to quickly pull back to those breakout points before moving higher. But solid stock, solid. What is it up now? 216% in quite a short amount of time, and we're now at all-time highs. So good one to watch, CRDF, and I see one more. We'll end it with that. NNDM. Let's see. I like to get 10-year chart. What is this? 2016 down a ton. So there's going to be some overhead there, but let's see if we can trade this. So 200-day just starting an uptrend. Yeah, just starting an uptrend. What did it pull back from its highs? Yeah, so I'm not trading this one. Pulled back 55% from its highs. We can be extremely picky in this market right now. Earnings on the 12th. I'm not going to be able to get probably enough profit to hold into earnings, but if you bought again on this pivot right here, you're up 25%, then you can hold some into earnings, take some profit. But yeah, we could be extremely cautious and selective with our process right now. So although it is over its 200-day and that 200-day is moving up, I do like the buying volume. Doesn't mean you can't make money on this. Just not the type of trades that I like to make money on. But let's see if we can get over these two highs too. Yeah, I like the buying volume coming in, but getting close to earnings there, so hard to get enough profit if you're looking at this today trying to buy into that. So that's NNDM. Let me jump back to this. All right. We will leave it on that. If you like the video, please leave a like. Subscribe to the channel. We do these on Tuesday nights, midweek movers, where we just go over my watch list, stocks to trade for the rest of the week. And then on Friday, we go over all my trades, what's on my watch list, what do you guys want me to see. And then also, please follow me on StockTwits. That's Stock Tricks with Nick. And then on Twitter, it's Stock Trick Nick. And I'll put the timestamps for all these stocks in the comment section. All right, have a great weekend, guys. Get away from the screen a little bit and